Feels so good. Feels so good. So, recap for day number 8. Pretty powerful. We were asked to look at the stories that other people project onto themselves and then help to look beyond that and not adhere to those stories that are limiting, and to promote any story that is expanding. So super powerful. And just to document your experience with that, we were asked to not necessarily like ask somebody if they have a story that they need to help to not listen to or to disbelieve or that they need clarity on, but just instead, when anybody has a story that they are presenting, is to help them in the moment organically to say, oh, I know, and I'm not sure how much that's really relevant anymore, or if they have an aspiration to be in the space of, yes, do it, no matter what you think you can or can't do, you can do it if you just go forward. And maybe that was like somebody saying that they want to take on a new job or a new project or whatever it would be, and maybe they have a limiting story that tells them they can't do that. So our job was to show up in support of an expanding story or helping them to change around that story. So just kind of being in service and being a good friend, a good part of the tribe, right? So for day number 9 now, woohoo! Oh my goodness, it's so fun to be in this space, because now we're moving on and we're upgrading continuously, right, through this challenge. And oh, hi puppies! Oh yes, hi puppies. So for day 9, we are ready to spend time disbelieving, or how should I say, expanding the help that we currently have, and the ideas of how help shows up to us. Because as we discussed yesterday, the stories that we believe help us to take actions that create the life that we have. So what you think about, you bring about, right? I have a certain way of thinking about the world, and I'm going to operate from that way of thinking, and I'm going to create the life that I have. So now that we know that some of our stories really aren't good for us, they're not here for our greatest and highest good, and when we let go of those stories, we start to show up in the world a little bit differently. And in that space, we are creating a new pathway. We're like treading a new, creating a completely new path in the forest, so to speak. We're going down the road that nobody else has traveled, right? Because we're the ones supposed to be traveling it. So along this road, there are helpers that are there, whether we believe them to be there or not. There are helpers, and these helpers come in the form of, let's just say, the energy around you. Could be friends, whatever, could be a divine, whatever it might be for you. The most important thing is that it's there for you. You don't have to believe in helpers of any other form, but what's in your heart. And what we're being asked to do today is step up into the space where help is beyond our linear way of thinking, right? We've gotten to the space where we can just sit and integrate. We've practiced in the previous days places where we have to just sit and integrate new knowledge or new experiences, or let go of old experiences, right? So now we're going to integrate a new experience, and that is assistance with our transformations. And also setting up the fact that when we step into a new reality, a new, hello friend, when we step into the new reality of this is my new way of being, right? It's a new path. And so we get to choose what helpers show up, or we get to be more aware of what helpers are there for us in that moment. And so we just become much more cognizant and much more purposeful in what we're doing. So a way that this could look for you is to just go on an imagination trip, so to speak. So we had a story that we were able to disbelieve or have space with that, right? And maybe there's more stories that you can evaluate and disbelieve. But now there's a new story being written within you that I'm asking you to explore or let percolate a little bit more. And maybe it just means that you need to sit in a space where you can absorb really awesome music for a little bit. Something just to occupy your mind, really. Maybe you could put on a YouTube channel that has some drumming, or maybe a fire near it, or maybe you have a fire near you that you could partake in. It is a cold day, so that would be an encouraging thing. But just to sit by this fire and say, and let the ideas percolate, that there is help beyond my linear way of thinking on how to accomplish this new story that I'm setting out to solidify within me. And this new story may be I'm expanding my bravery, I'm going to go and expand my business, I'm going to expand my friendship circle, all of these things. And you have to be in the space of understanding your linear way of thinking before may have come from like devaluing yourself, right? And so maybe there's a story there that you can totally release, is the devaluing of yourself. And how do we look for help in that space? To be like, I really need help understanding who I am, or along this new path. Where do these helpers come from? And sometimes we just need to be chill and just allow the belief that there's help beyond a linear way of thinking or a linear way of doing things. So if you're starting a new business, maybe you think that you have to have a certain amount of money before you start one. Maybe you think you have to have a certain number of followers. Maybe you think that you already have to have a certain impact in the world before you start something different. Maybe you think that your other friends won't look at you the same because now you're asking to be a different person. All of these things are stories that, I love 12. All of these are stories that are holding us back. And so as we go into the space of helpers, help me release this, help me integrate my new form. That's the assignment, is who are the helpers that are beyond our linear thinking? And the way that this engages is just to allow the contemplation of this just to happen. We could even engage in asking literally for these non-physical helpers to come to us. Simple as that. It sounds like this is such a hard thing to do maybe, but it's not. It's super simple. And I drew some cards, of course, for our help today. And the cards that I drew, I guess I could go get the boxes really quick. One more time. Da-da-da. Cards that I drew today are from the Earth Warrior Oracle deck. This guy, I love this deck, super expansive about life path and whatnot. And then I thought I would revisit the Oracle of the Seven Energies deck by Calder and Reed. And the other one is by Alana Fairchild. I think it's Alana Fairchild. So the one from the Shaman Oracle deck is Poyo, I think that's how you pronounce it, Guardian of the Amakua. That's how you pronounce it, I guess. And you can just look at this picture and just take it in. You know, what's your intuition say? Owls are helpers. They come to reveal things to us. Wisdoms. They allow us to stand in our power. And so there's a space right there that you can look at. And this card is just asking you to invite in your non-physical helpers. It's asking you to just take the time to listen and just allow them to come in. The other thing that that card is asking is for you to take action in your story from your story that is in opposition to what you used to believe. So you're rewriting that story, right? So this may need to come through just sitting there and letting your helpers give you the comfort or the inspiration to do that. And maybe your story was, we'll piggyback off of a few days ago, I'm too old to have kids was one of them. Yes, you're never alone. That's a good one. Yes, so somebody just commented, it's telling me that I'm not alone. And that's, I guess, a good way of putting this exercise. You are not alone, and there might be programming thinking you are. So maybe your story was that I am too old to have kids. And in that space, what could be in direct opposition to that story that you can now create a new physical presence for? And so that's what we're asking to do today, and from that card, is to demonstrate something in the physical world that helps to solidify your new story. And this is why we're being extremely cognizant, and we're being very, very purposeful about coming along with this. And this is why it's good to engage those non-physical helpers, because we may be thinking we're alone in doing this, right? I'm alone in walking and taking my next 2 steps or whatever. I'm on the moon now, and I have no idea I'm the first person, or this is the first time I'm walking upon this path. And it's really great if I know that I have somebody helping me. And you do, and that's why we're engaging in this non-physical help. And it could just feel like I'm going to lay there for half an hour and watch the fire, and I'm going to allow my feelings to percolate through me, or I'm just going to enjoy the next half an hour and I'm just going to rest, and I'm going to listen and be in the receptive mode and allow my imagination to run wild, whatever it would be. Just this integration time is what we need. So the next cards that I pull from the 7 energies deck is, which order did I pull them in? Yes. Spirit of Gratitude. Bam. Pretty awesome, Spirit of Gratitude. And then the next one was Time Machine. Doo-doo-doo. And both of these cards, Spirit of Gratitude is asking you to invoke the fact that you're now grateful that you don't need to believe your old story. And as you are free to not believe your old story, you are free to experience your new story, and you can trust in that and say, wow, thank you for allowing me to go through my old story so that I can get to this new story. So that's a way of engaging in just on the gratitude level. And then this new one, the Time Machine, is just, it's time to reach. It's like we think that we're on this linear time path, and reality is that time is not linear. It's in more of a quantum realm, affected by many different factors. And as we let go of our stories, we are letting go of the linear manifestation of those stories, which also means that we can let go of like a timing requirement. We can let go of the imprint that story defined us, and instead we can just gain wisdom from it. As far as, let's say an example would be, I have this story, and because I have this story, I look a certain way. So that story defined you. So we are a victim of that story. And when we go outside of time, we understand that that story could have happened at any time. And so we can let go and understand that maybe I don't even have to experience any story that is no longer serving me. And I'm free to exist in this realm without being a victim of my old stories. Yeah. So day 9 is kind of big work. It's actually very simple to do though. So I encourage you to take the time to, it's basically just go into a meditative state. And I'm asking you to engage with a fire or maybe some drumming, like from YouTube or something, or some type of songs or something that can occupy your mind so that your mind isn't ruminating on negativity or becomes uncomfortable in the moment. Instead, you're using this as a time for relaxation and self-care, actual self-care of reflecting on the fact that you get to now redefine yourself. And so you're choosing to redo your story. So that is your assignment, and how are you going to choose to redo your story is what I would like you to post. And probably your experience with how you just went into your meditative state. So this is the part where it's totally free to be you. You get to be on your meditative state however you want to, but it's very beneficial to engage, like I said, with a fire or even candle, whatever, with some nice music around you, and just maybe even take a bath. That's a good one. Take an Epsom salt bath or something. And allow that information to percolate that you have helpers here that are helping you on your new story going forward through. And how are you going to take your first steps? And maybe that will come from your helpers. Or maybe the universe in some other way will bring those helpers to you to guide you in a way that you had no idea. Maybe you're going to get a phone call. Maybe you're going to see a post from a social media page. Maybe you're going to drive by somewhere and see a sign. You know, here's your sign kind of a thing. So go ahead and comment on how you're taking new action for your story. And so the example of I'm too old to have kids would be to investigate what it is actually like in the area that you live to incur that responsibility. How could you do that? And just to let that information flow through you. And so just taking that next step of maybe looking up an adoption agency or a surrogacy agency or something of that nature would be a way to step outside of your old thinking, even though it might be scary. And that's okay to do. Specifically if it is scary, because then you're telling the universe that you're not going to let fear also hold you back. And that's a very powerful one to start off with, a courageous foot, and one that you know that you are completely guided along with. So go ahead and use the hashtags of 90-Day Happiness Challenge, Matthew, Embry McLean, Shamanic Happiness Coach, so that I can find you and read your posts. And also, anybody out there that is benefiting from your journey, invite them along to this 90-day challenge. Tomorrow we're going to be a little bit more in the celebration zone, number 10, woo! So it's a milestone. We're just breaking through this, and it's going to be fun tomorrow. I'm going to help everybody. We're going to have a little bit different of an assignment. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's not too late, like I said, for people to join in. If you need more help, in the description of this video and most of the other videos, you will see the login or the sign up for the Wednesday meditation that is happening from 6 to 7. And we're probably going to go over a little bit on this next Wednesday. But you can log in and get additional help on this journey. You can reach out to me, either personal messaging me through my business, all of those good things. The information is available on the Facebook page and my personal webpage, shamanichappinesscoach.com. So, with light and love, everybody have an amazing day for day 9. Ooh, 1, 2, 2, 1, yay! I love when the synchronicity comes through the time. And earlier I was like, oh, I'm not going to make it on time, which is totally, of course, I got to let go of that constraint, the linear way of thinking, so that's perfect. So anyway, with light and love, everybody, I say namaste to you, and I will see you tomorrow. Please continue to post. If you have any questions, reach out.